at TikTok
Shit.
without Liz.
Hold on, I didn't mean to hit the go live button, and then I did. So let's just play the intro. Let's just roll the intro, everybody.
Why is Liz not on TikTok?
Welcome to We'll Throw the After Party. I really hope those of you that were here and waiting for the stream to start enjoyed us off the top, where I totally forgot how to produce a show and I hit the go live button before anything was queued up. So you may have seen us talking about TikTok. If not, maybe we'll leave it up for the replay folks so they can also experience the nice warm chaos of Liz forgetting how to do her job. But welcome to the show. We're so happy that you're here. I see some familiar faces in the chat. Hello, Leah P. Hello to JJ. Hello to Sylvan. And hello to my beautiful friends. I've missed you. If you don't know, which you probably don't because you're not in our 4-person group chat, I've been literally non-responsive for days. So this is the first time we're all catching up in person. Well, in person as best as we can. In about a week and a half.
Eye to eye.
How are we doing? Like, I know how we're doing. Like, how are we doing? I've missed you. We're all here. We all made it to yet another show. Cheers. Alexis, I see you. This is the coffee. Cheers.
Hell yeah.
Cheers, cheers, cheers. We've done it. If you don't know me, I'm producer Liz. I'm producer Liz everywhere on the internet. I talk about PR and pop culture. And next week is all about Harry's House on my page. So if you're following the Harry's House ordeal, and there was some huge drama today with Harry's House, I'll talk a little bit about in my rant segment. We're going to cover it all over the next week on my TikTok at producer Liz. And that's me. My life has been nothing but chaos, folks, for about 2 weeks. My house flooded. I'm in temporary accommodations. My rant this evening is about all of the worldly possessions I now own, which are very few. And we're just here to have a good time and talk about Dr. Stephen Strange. And if you know anything about me, you know that Dr. Strange is clearly my favorite character from the MCU. So I'm having a great fucking time. And with that, I'll throw it to WANDA'S #1 fan, Marissa. How are you doing this evening?
I'm good. Hi, TikTok. If you enjoyed that silence, thanks for being here. But go to the link in my bio to watch us live on YouTube, and you can see Liz because she has phone battery problems tonight.
I have no plugs to charge my phone from. And it's not my fault this time because every week I'm told, Liz, charge your phone. And tonight, to everyone, I say there are no plugs for me to charge my phone from. So we're doing the best we can.
There are no plugs, apparently. So I'm Marissa. I'm at Miss Obabissa. I don't think I'm Wanda's biggest fan, but I am on her defense squad. I am one of her lawyers. Elizabeth Olsen has been saying that she's Wanda's lawyer in press for this movie, and I would just like to say that I am also on her legal team. And you can find more of that energy everywhere on the internet at Miss
Take yourself. I'm like the court transcriber. Like I'm the one taking notes in the courtroom. Marissa, maybe you can be the judge.
No, because I'm biased.
Right.
The judge has to be impartial. Let's be honest. I'll be like the paralegal. I'll just like have all of the binders and just like walk around with all of the binders.
Yeah. Doing the research.
Lawyer stuff.
My volume just went on full blast. That was terrifying. And that's called producing without any of your usual setup. That's fine. Let's move on. How about and keep the ball rolling here. Sly, how are you doing this week? Where can people find you on the internet?
I'm doing all right. I'm Slay. I'm at SlyCloneMC everywhere on the internet. I'm here, and I'm very excited to be featuring this still which has been notoriously one of my favorites. I'm obsessed with this statue. Like, that's such a cool fucking statue. I'm in love. I don't care about him. He's whatever. He's fine. We're ignoring that part. But look at this statue.
It's pretty good statue.
Definitely a statue. So Alexis is on her way back, but we will just say quickly, Alexis has not seen the movie yet.
Oh yes, this is good. This is good.
Please keep the comments spoiler free because Alexis can read all of your comments. We will tell you when we're lifting that spoiler ban and we're going to talk spoilers here, but please be patient with us as we work through the show. Because of course, we all want Alexis here. We all want Alexis here giving commentary and telling you about her week. So as she's on her way back, everyone just keep that in mind. But certainly, I have lots of thoughts around this whole statue sequence and what was happening in that moment in the movie. And I will say, the only thing that got spoiled for me was one of the best moments of the movies. I'm very upset of all the spoilers I could have received. It was about
Oh, I don't think that's true. I think I very, very, very strongly, without saying the words, tried to spoil something that was not in the movie that you believed so strongly is in this movie.
It's not my fault that Cineplex did me dirty. And do you know what the most embarrassing part is?
Listen, sometimes the internet lies.
No, the worst part is I was sitting through that entire movie because I was the first one to see it. And I was sitting through that entire time waiting for the frickin' jump scare. And there was one moment where I thought before a person turned around that I was like, oh my god, this is the jump scare moment, right? And it wasn't. And I sat through that whole entire movie being like, where the fuck is he gonna show up? And he didn't.
If you don't know what we're referring to, Cineplex had a leak. Where similar to No Way Home, Cineplex released the full cast list on the website and spoiled who was in No Way Home. So if you went to buy your tickets from Cineplex, you accidentally may have confirmed who appears in No Way Home. And for Multiverse of Madness, and I will say it's not just a screenshot because I went to the Cineplex website and read this with my own eyeballs.
I did too. We all did.
We all did.
It was there for weeks.
It was there for weeks that this other beloved MCU character who deals with the multiverse, who's not Wanda, who had their own show, was going to be in this movie.
Maybe responsible for it opening in the first place. Maybe.
And me, with my big fat mouth, during the movie credits, was like, because I went with like a couple of my friends, so we were all like, I was like, wait, like we have this big character showing up for the second post-credit scene. We have this big character showing up for the second post-credit scene, and then guess if you know what the second post-credit scene was. I looked like an idiot in front of my entire local theater. So thanks for absolutely nothing except for something I'll show you during.
I tried to warn you.
I tried to spoon feed you the information.
But if I am anything, I am delusional. So are we really going to blame me for living up to my brand?
No, that's really fitting for today.
We lost Alexis again.
Alexis, come back. What happened?
Is she still on TikTok?
Hold on. She's talking. Hold on. Yes?
Oh, she's here.
Oh, she's trying. Okay.
Are you okay?
Really quickly, tell everybody who you are.
I'm Alexis. And Alexis Blake reads comics, and I talk about comics, and I talk about cats.
It's true. And you're still here. We're doing great. We just told everyone you have not seen Multiverse of Madness yet, so everyone's going to be really nice in the comments. Do you want to say it to your TikTok stream?
Yeah, I haven't seen Multiverse of Madness yet, so don't be a dick. Please and thank you.
There it is. There it is. But we are all excited to be here. And something that I'm really excited about this week is we don't have to talk about Moon Knight. We can actually throw an after party and have fun. And tonight, y'all, we are inviting you to lean in with us into the fun of the after party. I came comfy clothes and snacks ready. We have games prepared. We're here to have fun. It was a heavy week of discourse on the internet. And I'm happy for those people. But tonight, we are simply here to vibe out and have a good time and talk about how much we love Wanda. So perhaps we shall do some of that. But before we do, let's talk about what we were watching this week and, what's been up the past week. For me, absolutely
Liz, how
nothing.
are you?
How am I? That is quite the question this week, is it not? I certainly expected to be in my house for the Harry's House drop, and that's not going to happen. So that's how low the bar is for me right now. However, I have much to be grateful for. I watched absolutely nothing this week because I was in a hotel. But I did just watch Eurovision. Did anybody else watch Eurovision tonight? It was a great show, great performances.
I know Johnny Weir has been very excited about it.
He has been. It's a big, big night for the internet. So I had such a good time watching. I will not say who won in case, it's all over the internet by now, but just in case you don't want it spoiled for you,
I thought it was multiple days.
It is, but tonight was the grand final.
Oh, okay.
So
I didn't even know it was happening until today.
It is.
So I couldn't even watch it.
The biggest night of the year for pop culture. It's bigger than Super Bowl. Everyone knows that and says that all the time because it's true and we're sane. I really enjoy it from the production perspective. They had some beautiful shots this year and the way they introduced the countries, and it's just a little piece of dessert for me as a producer to tune in and just see what they're up to. So I really enjoyed it. But that's quite literally the only thing I watched this week other than my bank account and credit card statements, which with a whole other multiverse of madness, let me tell you, but it's fine. Alexis, what were you watching and enjoying this week?
I watched a lot of things this week.
Tell us about it.
Well, relatively. For me, I watched a lot of things. Not for Marissa, probably. Marissa watches stuff like that. But
I have a long list this week.
I watched 911, which happened. It was a show that occurred. And then I watched JJ fight for Taylor's life on Twitter. And then I listened to JJ and Sly talk about 911. And I read a lot of 911 fan fiction. And then I also watched other things. So I watched The Tinder Swindler, which is a thing.
I'm so glad you finally watched it.
And I watched The Boy Band Con, which is an older documentary, but was very, very interesting.
Yep.
And then last night I watched Downfall, The Case Against Boeing, and I Will Never Fly on a Plane Ever Again.
Don't
Not
say
even
that
to come
me.
visit your old pal Liz? Not even to come up to Canada?
I'm going to have to be very intoxicated and
I can make
heavily
that happen,
medicated
bestie.
to get
No
on
problem.
the plane. Somebody is going to have to deposit me on the plane and then get me off the plane.
I am only hearing helpful hints. I'm not hearing deterrents from making this happen.
Listen, I watched a lot of J.J. Abrams properties growing up, so I was already petrified of planes.
Yeah.
But to know that there was a legitimate reason for me to be petrified of them,
I know.
just made it
It's
up.
enough to seal the deal, right?
Yeah.
Don't tell me that, please. I don't need that information.
I'm going on a plane in only a few weeks, so Alexis,
Pages
tell
of
us
notes.
nothing.
Yeah, so
Nothing.
just
Planes
ignore
are
my
great.
pages of notes.
Planes are designed to stay in the air, and it takes a lot more to get them to not be in the air than it does to keep them floating. So planes are wonderful. We support planes.
Unless money-hungry white men are involved.
What else did you watch this week, Alexis? That does not involve planes.
I think that was it. That was my whole
Beautiful.
list.
Beautiful. It's a good list.
Oh well, I watched more 911 today, but that's not relevant.
I think it's always relevant. Sly, am I wrong?
I mean, I feel like Alexis has watched 911 more times than I have at this point.
Impossible.
I
That's a
do think
big deal.
911's relevancy on this show is growing exponentially week by week.
I've only watched it twice.
I have a tendency to just loop episodes. That's the thing, though.
And
I've only watched it all the way through.
I will say, I have finally learned my lesson thanks to Twitter about the difference between 911 and 911 Lone Star, because when you go through the 911
Are you
tag
sure?
expecting to see 911 Lone Star tweets about snakes, you become very confused when the opposite occurs. So, I've learned my
911 Twitter
lesson.
is scary. That's what I learned this week. My fear of 911 Twitter grounded.
I just
Very
lowered
well.
my chair so low to the ground. Did anyone just witness that happen? That was I thought I was a plane
I
from
saw a
Alexis'
little- I
documentary.
saw a
Hold
little
on.
of that business.
No one liked my plane joke. There we go. Did anyone hear my plane joke? I thought that was a great joke, but then Alexis didn't laugh. So
Oh, I didn't hear it.
I said because my chair went down, so I was like, I'm like
Oh.
a plane from Alexis's documentary.
Yeah, a Boeing 737 Max.
I'm that. Good. Yep. Also, I'm really sorry if my mic's echoing. It's because I keep banging into the table because my chair keeps rolling really far away, and I'm not used to this setup clearly. So I apologize for everyone watching if you can hear all of this chaos.
I want to hear what my husband was watching this week.
Please tell us, Sly.
I haven't really been watching anything. I've been reading some more Teen Wolf fanfic. And that's about it. That's all I've really been up to. Watched a little bit of Teen Wolf. Still haven't finished season 3. I'm close. I'm almost there. But yeah. I don't know. Not much going on. The biggest thing in my life was playing a video game, but this is not the podcast for that. So
plug it. Where can people hear about the video game?
If you want to hear me yelling about video games, you can check me out on Point in Progress, which we also do a live show every Friday. And then you can catch the replay on our YouTubes. And our TikTok at Point in Progress has a lot going on now because we hired a friend to make some outtakes from our podcast. It's very fun.
Love.
Those edits are so good.
We love a little edit moment. We actually would like a little edit moment if we're being very blunt with all of you, since you're all our friends. Yeah, I love this.
We're getting there. Check out
We
the after party on TikTok.
Absolutely.
After party show.
Sometimes we have content. Sometimes we're content creators. Most of the time, we are yelling in a group chat. And then what we yell about in the group chat becomes our rant. Do y'all like that transition?
Excuse me. Yeah. Nobody got to hear what I was watching this week.
Okay, fine. Then Marissa, tell us what you were watching this week. Perhaps I was too excited about a good transition to remember that you want to yell about the Tony Awards.
To remember that your wife existed?
So
listen.
Respectful. This is going in the edit of the highlights of this episode. Absolutely.
Which you can follow on After Party Show on TikTok. Okay, tell us what you're watching this week.
Okay. Sunday morning I woke up and the Tony nominations were out. I think
it was
maybe
Monday.
It was Monday.
I think
it was Monday. The Tonys happened on a Sunday, so I felt like it was Sunday. It was Monday. And I honestly, I feel like I should have a lot of feelings about them. I don't. Mm-hmm. I didn't care enough about a lot. And the things that I did care about, I was disappointed by.
Right.
And I also watched the new season, what's available of the new seasons of Hacks and Girls 5 Eva. Those are both shows I talked about on Under the Radar a while ago when I was talking about shows that were getting season 2s. Highly recommend both of them. They're very fun and funny. Hacks is on HBO Max and other places if you're not in the United States. And Girls 5 Eva is on Peacock. And I don't know how Peacock works if you're not in the United States. Figure it out. Now rants.
Does everyone know how we do the rants here on the show? If you don't, we're going to try and tell you all about things in 30-second intervals and cut each other off until we've each spoken for 2 minutes. It's probably the most concise way I've ever explained that. Tonight, my rant is about the only worldly possessions I currently have on me as insurance evaluates everything else I've ever owned in my life. And yeah, it's going to be a little chaotic. I'm definitely not going to be watching the time. So good luck to the rest of you. Marissa, what are you ranting about?
I'm ranting about WandaVision. I had this rant last week. I felt like it would have been bolstered by spoilers for Multiverse of Madness, but I'm going to do it without spoilers.
Hell yeah.
I'm ranting about the portrayal of female journalists in media and the misunderstanding that ProPublica has about the term off the record.
So equally as important to the world as the only possessions I have left. Okay.
Blank stares.
No. Just equal levels of academic integrity.
Yeah. I have a couple sources. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be pulling up some peer-reviewed articles to back up my Spider-Man cup I just bought for $9. Sly, what are you ranting about this evening?
I will be talking about the idea of mass contracts for actors compared to job stability comparing to opportunity, basically.
Very cool. I love it. All right, I'm reaching for my first worldly possession. Are we all ready for me to start the timer? Yes?
I'm ready.
Yes? All right, let's do it. Okay, so as I said, currently all my possessions are being evaluated for damage, of which we don't know how much we will receive back. So let me show you the possessions I do currently own, including the only merch item I still have from my collection. So I think Sly officially has more than me because the rest of them are getting evaluated. I also bought this Spider-Man cup last night at the movie theater, which has this Spider-Man talks. I didn't get one for No Way Home, so I'm very pleased about this. Moving on, I also have a One Direction teddy bear with a faded t-shirt, which is super fun. And
everybody look at me. I would like to discuss who is the villain in WandaVision. You probably think, oh, it's Agatha. No, Agatha's maybe the antagonist. She gets in Wanda's way, but she's not the villain. Okay, so then it's Wanda. She enslaved a whole town. She did that subconsciously. And I don't think she's the villain either. I think she, could have let people go a little sooner, but not the villain. The villain of WandaVision is sword director Tyler Hayward. And let me tell you why. This man sucks.
So this week I have been enjoying two properties. I've been enjoying 911 and I've been re-listening to the Black Tapes podcast, which I do fairly often. And in both of those stories, there are conversations about or the use of the phrase off the record and journalistic integrity and what that looks like for women. And what I discovered this week was that Twitter seems to be just kind of vaguely confuddled about what that means and what using that phrase and still reporting information says about the women that are using it.
So when we look at the idea of like the acting industry, right? There's all these conversations about what it means to be like a successful actor. And like obviously like having job stability is a big question. So when we look at companies like the MCU that are doing these big giant 10-year all-encompassing contracts, they're giving the illusion of job stability, but are they really helping their actors?
I really didn't mean to save this. It was going to be in a puddle of steaming hot liquid, but it used to sing One Direction and now it doesn't. So maybe I should have sent it to insurance, but who's to say if this is from the flood or just the fact that it's 10 years old? Moving on, I bought 2 pairs of sunglasses because I didn't own any and my eyes are really sensitive. This pair reminds me of Olivia Rodrigo because it has nice little butterflies and they look cute on my face. And this pair offers no UV protection and I thought they did, but they're still fun. I also bought a pair of jeans for when Taylor Swift inevitably releases 1989 Taylor's version. And now one of only 3 pairs of pants I own have seagulls on them.
Okay, so let's start at the most egregious offense of Tyler Hayward. He wouldn't release Vision's body to Wanda. That is literally all she wanted. He doctored footage of Wanda at Sword to make it look like she broke in and stole the Vision's body. She did not do that. She did not do that. She came in and asked politely, please, could I have his remains so I could bury him? I am grieving. And he said, no. And then what happened? She subconsciously created...
So on 911, some friends come to Taylor and they ask her for some help. They basically want to review footage that she took. And they talk about a lot of stuff. And then they kind of realize that Taylor is listening, which duh, because you're sitting on her couch at who knows what time in the morning, watching footage that only she had. And in exchange for that footage, you really offered her nothing. So she says off the record, and then you tell her some other things. And she doesn't necessarily repeat the things that you told her, but she does use that information to look up other information.
So when we're looking at what inspired this rant for this week is the article that came out with Elizabeth Olsen with the New York Times talking about how she was up for a film that she was really excited about, but was in a Marvel contract that she couldn't get out of. And so, like, she was trapped in this contract that didn't allow her to take an opportunity that would expand her repertoire.
So I definitely cried when I realized I do have my Harry Styles sweater, which is very important to me for the release of Harry's House next week. I also have a Britney Spears shirt from Walmart, which was exactly $4. I have my merch that I just got from Shang-Chi, which is great. This is actually the sweater I wore as we were leaving the flood. And I have my most prized Taylor possession, which is the Stella McCartney Taylor sweater, which I also wear every day. I'm being a little bit melodramatic. I have a few more like items that I own, but like these are literally the clothes I'm wearing every single day right now. So it's not that melodramatic.
So because Hayward would not give Wanda Vision back. She drove her little rental Buick to Westview, New Jersey, stood in their plot of land, cried into that deed, and subconsciously created the hex. And if she had gotten Vision, she would not have created the hex. If she had not created the hex, Agatha wouldn't have found her, because Agatha was looking for great sources of power. She wasn't already in Westview. If Agatha hadn't found her, Wanda wouldn't have become the Scarlet Witch.
She reports some of the story, and people are really mad about it, and that's a whole different thing. But on the black tapes, there's the same conversation that happens between Nick and Alex, because Alex has a conversation that's kind of off the record, but not really. And she uses the information from that conversation to broadcast a bunch of stuff that she finds on her own that was not discussed in that conversation, right? And Nick, even though in a couple months he will be drinking cult tea and sleeping with all of the subjects of his newscast, gets really mad at her about it.
So the point of this is, when we look at these contracts that, like, Marvel, I'm sure, was marketing as, like, good for your career, right? This gives you job stability. You will be booked for this amount of time. What they were really doing is putting these actors in a situation where they couldn't take any other jobs, and they were limiting the scope of opportunities the actors will receive afterwards, because they've been shoehorned into a very specific role for such an extended period of time that nobody's going to offer them.
Am I being melodramatic? Absolutely. But am I doing every single work call in fandom merch? Yes. Is that different from my norm? No. But would I like more possessions? Absolutely. So I'll keep you informed on what I get back when. Also, I have new stickers on my iPad, which are kind of fun and bringing me only a slight bit of joy. You can't see them, but one's Baby Yoda, and that's kind of fun. I'm really tired. Marissa's doing a really great rant that matters, and I'm talking about my Spider-Man cup. And that's where I'm at this week.
Great. Thank you for the extra time. Basically, she would have become the Scarlet Witch eventually, because she was always the Scarlet Witch. It was like written in stone, blah, blah, blah. But she wouldn't have embraced the Scarlet Witch at that moment in time, and certain events would not transpire in the future. Also, Hayward pew-pewed directly at her children. Also, he looked at Darcy and Monica and said, "And which one of you is the sassy best friend?" And at best, that's sexist. At worst, it's racist. I don't have anything else to say. He's the villain of WandaVision.
So what's interesting to me is that in both of these cases, the men who were doing their job in similar rule-breaking ways are forgiven. But the women who have done their jobs in vaguely rule-breaking ways are not. And so I did some research, and I found this really interesting article about this kind of dust-up that happened between first Washington Post and then Politico and then later ProPublica, where people discussed their different views of the term off the record. And I think it would just help everybody, especially Twitter, to go and read it.
So my major concern with this recent revelation is that Marvel's actors that they've been hiring lately have gotten younger and younger and with less and less experience, which means they don't necessarily have the knowledge or position to successfully argue their contracts. And I'm just very curious to see how much Marvel has been taking advantage of that once we get more news on the current state of contracts with MCU actors.
Can you believe we all finished our rants in the allotted amount of time? Hooray!
So good.
That's our rant segment of the show. That's actually insane. I don't know if we've ever done that before. Usually we're all like, can we have a few more minutes to talk about our main points? So I'm very proud of all of us. Hooray! Yeah, I love when we have a mix of very serious conversation points and then someone's off the rails. And it definitely was not Marissa who was off the rails this week, as you made a very valid point, and I completely agree with you. And I don't understand why we didn't call him out sooner as being a problematic villain, because he absolutely is.
He sucks.
He sucks. Do you think we're going to see him again?
Well, his exit line, well, it's not his exit line. Darcy's exit line is pummeling a truck into him and saying, "Have fun in prison." So I don't know, but probably.
That's your main bet?
I mean, if you're not yoinked in the MCU, you're going to come back eventually. And maybe even if you have been eliminated.
Here's an interesting comment related to what Sly is saying, and I think that it also relates to the idea of being yoinked from the MCU. It's going to be interesting to see how people like Florence Pugh navigate being booked in indie films while clamoring for more Yelena, and like how are these contracts going to go with these huge characters that are going to come up in Phase 4 while the actors and actresses have notoriety on their own without Marvel.
I also think I don't know if this is true, but I actually believe it to be true that they haven't been doing multi-picture contracts after Endgame. I believe most people whose contracts ended at Endgame have only been getting single picture or single project deals since then. So like WandaVision was like a single project deal. Falcon and the Winter Soldier was like a single project deal for those characters because their contracts had already ended at Endgame. But then like Black Widow happened because Scarlett Johansson's contract wasn't done at Endgame. And like it'll be interesting like if the newer actors are on multi-picture contracts or if they're just giving that single project to the more established characters already.
And it's interesting to see how like these more established characters, like Sam Wilson, for instance, if you didn't see Anthony Mackie trying his darndest on the red carpet to not spoil Black Panther for the entire world when no question was asked to him to make him have to spoil Black Panther for the entire world. Like it's very interesting to me to see how these like bigger players are going to be roped in and around these plots while we have this like new cast lined up to take over the mantle for probably a lower rate. Very interesting stuff. And with that, Alexis, we're going to briefly say goodbye to you so that we can do some spoilery content on Multiverse of Madness, but it won't be for very long. So Alexis will be right back as we wrap our thoughts. Goodbye, goodbye, goodbye. Everyone say goodbye. We love you, Alexis. Mwah. We'll see you in a few minutes. And let's talk about Multiverse of Madness, and let's talk specifically about spoilers for just a few minutes. So if you have not seen Multiverse of Madness, now is your time to exit the chat, but just for 20 minutes until we can get all of our thoughts out. So at the top of the hour, we will be back with some Multiverse of Madness themed games that are not spoilery. So if you're watching on the replay, skip ahead 20 minutes till you see that big old wheel with Wanda's face on it, and then you can hop back in. All right, I feel like everyone's caught up now and they know that we're jumping into spoiler content. So let's first start with our rating of this movie, which I feel like we should start by really setting the tone for how these ratings work, right? It's about vibes. This is not Metacritic. This is not the New York Times. This is not us giving our Oscar votes for best movie. This is purely the vibes. And if we enjoyed it as people, and we invite all of you to give your rating in the chat as well. But we rate on a scale of alpines on this show, 1 to 5 alpines, and there are no half or quarter alpines. Whole cat, people. It is either a 5 cat or a 1 cat or a whole number in between, but there are no half alpines. So give us your take in the chat right now on a scale of 1 to 5 alpines, with 5 being the best. How many alpines would you give Multiverse of Madness? And perhaps Marissa should start, because as we know, the whole setup for this show and this movie has been, we have our fierce Wanda defender, Marissa, ready to go to fight for Wanda. And you were clear about that in the weeks leading up to the movie. You've been more than clear about that on TikTok. And if you've been watching Marissa's content this week, you know she's been out here fighting the good fight for Wanda. So where do you land with this movie?
Yeah. I'm going to be honest. I walked out of that theater. I opened my letterbox and I gave it 4.5 stars for the vibes, not because it's a good movie, but because I had a lot of fun watching it. I had a lot more fun than I expected, actually. I was kind of dreading it. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to defend her after this. I don't want them to ruin my girl. And I had a lot of fun watching it. But, you know, after sitting with it for a week, I'm going to give it 4 alpines. Only because I'm not allowed to give it 3.5. Okay, so it has to be a full alpine star for me personally. Okay. Alexis told me I could say 3 alpines and then an alpine without any accessories. So like no collar, no party hat, no sunglasses. But I'm just gonna say 4.
Okay. And would you like to add any further justification to that 4 alpine score?
No, I would really like to not think critically about this movie
Head
because
empty.
I had fun.
Head
Yeah.
empty, 4
Head empty.
Alpines. Okay, let's check in with the chat before we go to Sly. So we have a lot of like, everyone's all over the range here. We have Sylvan saying 5 Alpines solely for the Scarlet Witch, absolutely serving.
Correct.
Bunky's here with 3 and further clarifies 3.5, but we'll move to 3 full Alpines. See, we appreciate the full Alpines here. So I really respect that. JJ says 3 Alpines when I think about it, 4 Alpines when I don't. I think that's a really good take, actually, about
That's
this
where
movie.
I'm at. That's where I'm at.
Bunky swaying maybe back to 4. Goosey coming in hot. Goosey out here with 2 Alpines. Goosey, I want to hear more about where your big 2 is coming from. Let's hear it in the chat. Taylor saying I'll give it 4 Alpines. Much respect for that. Leah saying I'm not sure how I feel. Lots of mixed feelings. Maybe a 3 or a 4. Des giving it a strong 4. Bunky is a big brain, little brain score. I think that like this is a really good approach as well. Goosey saying I walked out of the theater liking it, but the more I think about it, the more I don't like it. Claw coming in with a 3. Sylvan clarifying Wanda gets 5 Alpines. I like this slide.
These are all over the place, but I agree with all of them.
Every single justification I'm here for.
I understand it all.
Where do you end up with all this?
Okay, I would say 4.5, but we're not doing halves, so I'm going with 4. And I really enjoyed this movie. I had a lot of fun with it. I put it, I think at number 10 on my overall rankings, which is higher than the first Doctor Strange. And that's like the range of like all of these movies are good. Like top 10, all of them are good. Like that's non-negotiable. I had fun with this movie. I thought it was, it felt like it had enough to tie it in with everything else, but not enough that if you went in knowing completely, if you had my Age of Ultron experience with this movie, you would not leave that theater completely confused, right? Like you can go into it with 0 context and still follow the plot and the story, right? There's enough there to have an enjoyable experience independent of an MCU property, which is something I'm very passionate about because, being new and missing out on all that content was very, overwhelming to think of all the things I had to watch to feel like I could be like a real fan or whatever. And like, I feel like they hit enough beats that I had fun with. It looked great. I know a lot of people trying to nitpick all of the effects, whatever, I don't care. It looked great. And I thought their exploration of like what it meant to be the antagonist versus being the villain was a really interesting commentary because they proved with this movie you can have an antagonist that your audience is rooting for 100% of the time. And you can be rooting for both sides of this and have a blast with this movie. And I think that is something we don't often see in media. And so that was one of the biggest selling points for me. Is that I was rooting for Wanda the whole time. Like, yeah, sure, murk all these people. I support you. At the same time, I was like, yes, like, America, you got this. Like, I'm rooting for you. You're gonna be safe. Like, I want to see how this plays out. And then just also the concept of what is like multiversal truths, what are the consistencies in all of the universes and what that means about you as a person in your multiverse compared to all the others, I thought was a really interesting commentary. So yeah, I had a lot of feelings about this movie.
Y'all are really, I was coming in with a strong 3 here. I'm like, this is a 3 out of 5 for me. But the more we talk about it and the more I'm reading the comments, the more I'm like really going back and forth. My 3 came from a place of thinking about what are my 4s in the MCU? What are my 5s in the MCU? And if I think about my 4s and my 5s, does this movie stand with those? Like, does this movie stand with Captain America, Winter Soldier, and Captain America Civil War? Does it stand with Black Panther or Black Widow or Eternals? And for me, it did not. So I'm going to give it a 3. But I agree with everything you said, Sly. Like, literally every single point, I'm like, Tea, absolutely. And I would also add, I went with a crowd where we all had various experiences with the MCU. We had some like big MCU fans that during the Illuminati scene were like, oh my God, like we're losing like their marbles over it, right? And then I had people that have never seen an MCU property, and we had vastly different takes walking out of the movie about what it was about and if we enjoyed it. I would say everyone enjoyed it because it was fun, and it was fun to go to a movie after a long time of not going to the movies together. But I would say the folks that didn't, even the people that are MCU fans but haven't watched WandaVision, were like, I didn't understand any of this. Like, I missed all of it. And I'm like, yeah, I get that, because WandaVision really, although we all know the drama about how these were made side by side and WandaVision wasn't done, you really did have a different experience if you did have some of that context. So I don't know. I'm at a 3. I literally wrote a thesis last night about how feminism and feminist theory connects to this movie. It's a very long color-coded take. It kind of,
I've read it.
I went, you know, the third eye at the end of the movie, that was me walking out of the movie theater thinking about feminism in this movie. It's like very fascinating.
It really
to me.
was.
The point that I'll make about my rating is that for me, we all know I'm a Doctor Strange hater, first and foremost, okay? No shade to the people that love Doctor Strange. He's not for me. So this movie had to convince me that either my take was wrong, which I knew it wasn't going to do, or help move me up the scale of liking Doctor Strange. And he had many more likable moments. And there's some commentary around how this movie understood Doctor Strange and positioned Doctor Strange in a lighting that we've never seen him in. And while I agree with that, and it did some things really well, I definitely didn't walk out of the theater feeling like I loved Doctor Strange any more than I did walking in. And like, it had to sell me on that. It had to sell me on that, and it didn't. So I'm sticking at my 3. Wanda, 10 bazillion Alpines. Hello. And I think it's because Elizabeth Olsen absolutely ate. Absolutely.
Hell yeah. I do think he was underused in his own movie. Like, that's one of the like big
that's one
like
of my
failings
favorite
to me.
Is that he was okay. So we talk a lot on this show about how we introduce these new characters that tend to be female in a way that is so dependent on these well-established male characters. And I felt like for me, this movie was the example of how they could do it well. Right? Like,
Yeah.
Doctor Strange was there. His name was on the movie. It got all of those fanboys into those seats, right?
Yep.
And then you stick him in that supporting character role excellently. And all he's there is doing is to serve the female characters and be that prop to support their stories. And it's a flip on what we normally get. And that's one of the things that I thought was so well done with it.
I think when we're talking about supporting roles here, we have to talk about how Mr. Wong, once again, promoted into a higher position of power in this universe in Phase 4, and yet was criminally written and underused. How do you make someone the Sorcerer Supreme and still make their lines absolute garbage? And I think he ate. I think he did so well to give Wong a bit of depth and a bit of gravity and a bit of seriousness, but like the actual script and the lines were comically sad.
I don't understand why Doctor Strange continues to be the hero over everybody else. Like, regardless of how powerful he is, how whatever, he's not the Sorcerer Supreme. He's not a particularly likable person. Like, I don't understand why in these moments he has to be the one that knows the answer. There are clearly other people that have the power and know the answer.
He's the epitome of the cis white man failing upwards.
Oh, that's so sexy to me.
That's why.
That's so
This
sexy to me.
is sly flirting without Alexis around. We're gonna have to everyone tell Alexis. We can't tell you the context. We can probably tell her you said that, but this is sly flirting when Alexis is not around. That was beautiful. It's beautiful. And let's talk about how I feel that we, in order for Marvel to feel like they can tell us diverse stories, they also feel like they need to continue telling us these stories that we don't need about white men in order to maintain this foundation they've built in their fan base of people that want to see those stories. Perhaps that's the choice that's been made.
It is a choice that's been made.
I will say, I have an unhinged take. I'm watching the clock here because we want to bring Alexis back in about 8 minutes, and we have a lot more we want to talk about. I have a pretty unhinged take on feminism in this movie, and I've missed, when I tell you every single piece of discourse I have not seen, I mean, every single TikTok that you have seen about this movie and feminism, I guarantee you I have not seen, because I have stayed away from it over the past week. But I walked out of that movie understanding who was in the writer's room and feeling like they did themselves absolutely dirty because they did not understand they actually made a movie about the impact of white feminism on society. To me, Elizabeth Olsen ate because she showed us how detrimental it is when we erase the identity of women, we erase the heritage of women, and we only focus on the experience of one woman. Right? And we see that through the destruction of every other female in that movie. Like destructive power against other women for the sake of one woman's mission. And that's, in a very high level context, the destructive power of white feminism. And I was like, how did Marvel make a movie making commentary around the destructive power of white feminism and the divine feminine? And then I was very graciously told in the group chat, Liz, you're reading very far into this, but I actually don't think I am. I think if you rewatch that movie and you think about and you read about white feminism in the historical context of that, and we've talked about the erasure of Wanda's identity and the erasure of women in the MCU. It's a very interesting story that's being shared with us. And I think Elizabeth Olsen did a beautiful job with understanding how this was a different Wanda than WandaVision, and this was not the same Wanda as WandaVision, and bridging the gap in the ways that she had control over to make that story consistent and show us a breadth and a depth of womanhood and feminism that we have not seen in many other Marvel projects and stories, including the stories that were made to try and tell those stories.
I do have to say, I have read Liz's thesis, and I do agree with her points. I understand where her analysis is coming from, but I will not be giving Michael Waldron the credit.
And I
cannot say that was an intentional critique.
I do think, though, that when you sit a bunch of men in a room and try and get them to write a story about a woman, and they don't have lived experience, nor are they looking for it, nor are they researching it, this is the kind of story you get. You get this very one-dimensional, white feminist-centered trope of a mother who would do anything for her children and would destroy anyone in her power. And then what did Elizabeth Olsen do with that? She showed us how destructive it is when we only view women from that one frame point. And it's also, I don't have enough time to give my full thesis on this, but it's also interesting when you think about how this movie is from the narrative of Doctor Strange, who does not value any woman in his life, and then views this one singular mission and narrative as villainous and treasonous and like tyranny to the universe.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to give the screenwriter a lot of credit, but the line of hypocrisy that follows this film, reading the Darkhold, breaking the rules, everything that Strange and Wanda do, they both do. Mm-hmm. One's villainized for, one's celebrated for. Like, that line is very clear throughout the film, and that, I will say, works. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate it.
I have to stop now.
It's on my shirt right now.
Never going to make it back on the show.
That doesn't seem fair. Literally on my shirt right now.
I love it.
The Burden Shop. Naira, we love you.
The score was sorry, I was just gonna say the score is brilliant. I totally agree with this comment.
Oh, yes.
I loved the music in this movie. Slide.
I was just wondering if we wanted to talk about the conversation Marissa and I were having on TikTok this past week.
Yes, about, please, absolutely.
How they transitioned Wanda's character from WandaVision to this movie. Mm-hmm. And the idea of we know that her mind has been corrupted by the Darkhold, mm-hmm. right? The Darkhold is the villain here, right? Yeah. We know that, we understand that. And to me it just felt like there was one scene that got cut somewhere along the way that more clearly cemented that her brain being corrupted, because it felt like they tried to have something about that in the beginning, and then we didn't really see it until later when we see, Doctor Strange starting to get that piece of corruption, and then you can kind of tie it back to, oh, that's why Wanda went so extreme so quickly from the last time we saw her.
Yeah. I feel like the gotcha moment they tried to have wasn't successful because they started this like promo campaign essentially saying it's a team up movie and like Wanda's going to get back in the Avengers and she's going to help Strange and she's using her magic to be a good person and she's on the path to good and whatever. And like, it was going to be this ensemble movie, like when it was first pitched at D23 and whatever, or I think Comic-Con, but whatever. And then like it slowly deteriorated into Wanda is the antagonist of this film. And like, even in the like 2 months of promotion, it changed from like pretending like Wanda is a team player to Wanda is the problem. And the like gotcha moment they tried to have at the beginning of her like taking down the illusion of the cabin and the burnt trees and whatever, like fooled people into thinking she hadn't gone that dark, I think. And like remembering the happy times of WandaVision and not the times where she was like rocking Monica Rambeau like through buildings and pointing pew-pews at people for no reason. Like she was not a nice person in WandaVision. Let me just say she did nothing wrong. I will defend her forever. But like she doesn't make the best choices. And so I think the like gotcha moment that they tried to have there just wasn't successful because you didn't realize what was happening until it had happened. And then you were like, wait, why did that happen? And then you have to think back to what you've already seen.
Okay, we're almost at the top of the hour. So why don't we end by each sharing in 10, I'm kind of changing what we have in the show doc here, in 10 words or less. Give me your rant or your hottest take from the movie. I'll start. And I have to make sure it's under 10 words. Agatha and Loki would have made the movie 5 Alpines.
Mm.
Who wants to?
I'm ready.
Mine is basically confession scene not as bad as y'all say it was.
Beautiful. Marissa?
Lacked vision. The wigs were bad.
You have 4 more words. Why don't you fill them?
Needed Pietro and parents.
Oh.
Okay.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
The confession scene I'm talking about is the I have loved you across all the multiverses.
Oh.
I had a whole thought to say about it, but if we're cutting that, we're cutting that.
Might I just say one more thought? Because I know this has already been said a million times, and I have not seen any content, but I know people have said this. The wedding scene is the most uninspired writing that has ever been in the MCU.
The dialogue is rough. Just all of the dialogue is rough.
I quite literally, I am not exaggerating. I made like a gagging noise during that scene, and my friends laughed because it was so bad. The other moment I laughed at was when Doctor Strange was dreamwalking, and he did this, and then the guitar riff played. I was like, what is this movie?
What I laughed at is him saying, no shit, genius. Sherlock is right there, and I understand he's never going to say it, but why would they write it if he's clearly not going to say it? He could say so many other things.
If you want more of my spoiler-filled thoughts on this movie, check out the MC University Extra Credits episode on it. We mostly focus on the Illuminati scene because that is very relevant to the show we do over there. But you also get more of my thoughts on the confession scene. So
I love it. I love it. Okay, let's bring Alexis back. So, Sly, go get your wife and bring her back to the chat here. And while we get Alexis back, let's remember spoiler-free chat. So everyone send in some Alpines. some alpine emojis. Let's clear the chat for Alexis. I want everyone to send many alpines in the chat right now, so Alexis does not read your spoiler content when she returns. I would like to see many alpines in the chat. Let's see some flowing. Cat emojis flowing in a moment here. There we go. Thank you all so much. Beautiful. Alexis is going to be so pleased when she returns and sees that we have some alpines. Thank you so much, friends. None of you will be blocked for your spam this time. We're very appreciative of it. We do have a game we're going to play. Let me get a little Zoom moment happening here. So we will wait for Alexis to return, and then we will get started with our game. And this is one of those games where we invite all of you to participate and play along in the chat with us. Again, tonight's all about having a proper after party. This is our party. We can do what we want. We can say what we want. It's our party. We can cry if we want to. That's like
the 3 different songs lyrics.
I'm trying to cover all my bases here. Okay, this is We'll Throw the After Party inclusive version. You know, here's Alexis. Hello, bestie.
Can I tell you a story?
Please
do.
We're begging
for a story. You
the
want to join the TikTok again?
Yeah. So I have this fear of being left behind, right? Like my whole life, I've had this fear that everyone is going to leave me because people always leave, right? And so because of that, I decided I would just occasionally check in with the captions while I was off playing my game to make sure you all hadn't moved on 45 minutes into the show and just forgotten that I existed. And I would like to know what flirting was happening while I was gone.
Fly said something extremely intelligent, and it just really hit me. I'm so sorry.
It was not intentional. I was just making a...
Let me get rid of this wheel. We gotta witness this in 4K.
I swear my new superpower is being summoned anytime somebody hits on my husband.
Sly, what did you say? Because it wasn't a spoiler.
Doctor Strange is the epitome of a straight white man failing upward.
Oh, yeah,
and then I said, that's called flirting when Alexis isn't around. You can't say those things.
Yeah, well, all I saw was, that's called flirting when Alexis isn't here. And I was like, really?
How dare we? How dare we? I love you so much. It's so funny. No, that's what you missed. Sly was being very intelligent. I cannot wait for you to watch the movie and then watch the replay. You're going to be very proud. Okay, we have a few games that we're going to play around Multiverse of Madness. Alexis, we also want you to know that everyone was very, very kind. If you look at the comments, they flooded it with cat emojis so that you would not see any of the comments that had spoilers in them.
I see that. I also see some slander from JJ, but mostly I see some beautiful cat emojis. And that is what I'm going to focus on today.
Slander, cat emojis. It's all the same vibe here this evening. Am I right? Okay. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to play some games, and I think what we're going to do...
Well, how do I fix it, babe?
Oh.
You have to hit the multi-guest, and then it'll pop up the camera thing.
And then the camera. Hey, Mario!
Okay. Beautiful. Do you mind, Alexis, just trying to turn down your volume just to make sure it didn't go full blast when you rejoined? Thank you so much. Okay.
It's all the way down.
I'm going to hope that there's no last time I did a wheel, we had like some Pirates of the Caribbean inspired ship music playing, and it was very loud. So I'm gonna hope that we don't have the music this time. I tried to mute it, but we have this wheel. I thought maybe let's start with like 2 questions, then we'll move to our second game and do that, and then we'll return to the wheel to end the night. How does that sound? Everyone have fun, fresh
whatever
vibes?
We need to do.
Sure.
Let's do it. And again, everyone answer along in the chat. We're going to have some fun. These are lines from Multiverse of Madness that we've come up with some fun questions to. None of these lines will spoil the movie for you. Here we go. First one is, but we're friends, you're killing me. And the question associated with that is, let me find it here.
And it is share a text from the group chat that made you lose it laughing.
That's a good one. Yeah. So what is, I think, a text from the group chat or a moment from the group chat that made you lose it laughing? Who would like to go first?
And just
a
reminder, regardless of the context of the quote within the movie, we're not talking about that because we're keeping it spoiler free. We're just using these as jumping off points. Oh no, what's it called? when you like have a conversation starter thing. Is that what it's called? A
Like
conversation
a conversation starter? Yeah, you got there. Very
Great.
proud of you. Very proud of you. Okay,
Thank
Sly,
you.
what's your moment from the group chat that made you LOL?
It is. I know you did not just send a tweet from my ex to the group chat. Because we were just chilling in the group chat and somebody sent a tweet from Twitter and it was a very interesting commentary.
Twitter.com.
And then
Let's just talk about this first. Wait, I just
A
want
very popular tweet from Twitter.com.
Yes, it was not like a only 2 people know this person. It was,
No.
you
No, it
know,
was doing
well
well.
performing. It was doing numbers.
It was quite funny. It had a graphic involved. I don't even remember what it was at this time, but it was
I
the
don't either.
speed of the
It
response that
it was-
read, "How dare you send a text or a tweet from my ex to the group chat?" That made me. We all were like, "Wait."
It was what if trauma. It was Marvel looked at phase 4 and said, what if trauma? That was the
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. What else? What else has happened in the group chat recently that's made us LOL? Oh no, Marissa, where'd you go? What happened?
No, I did it on purpose because I was lagging. It didn't work. I'm still lagging. I'm gonna do it again. Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Okay, we're not. Nope, we're letting that go. Absolutely. I'm actually scrolling through the group chat right now, trying to find funny things that have happened. But I know we have a million. We actually have a folder of all the funny moments that have happened saved. Marissa, do you have a moment from the group chat?
The cheese one.
Sorry, remind me what one that was. I have one brain cell left.
Is not grilled cheering.
Oh, the grilled cheese is not grilled cheese. Who sent that?
I did. I was making a grilled cheese.
Because my funny moment was going to be that Marissa and I are always in macaroni and cheese mode at the same time. But like several times I've been like, it's macaroni and cheese time. And then Marissa's like, I had macaroni and cheese. Or
Macaroni
grilled
and cheese is
case.
great. Yeah.
I'm literally
Grilled cheese
going
has become my pre-show meal.
There was a text on Sunday afternoon that I'm going to read aloud. Well, actually, I'm not going to read it aloud. I'm going to be vague till everyone else figures out what I'm talking about. But on Sunday afternoon, someone sent a text explaining that they had just purchased some new spy equipment to spy on their cat children. Definitely doesn't narrow it down. And then followed it up with 4 screenshots of how the camera was recording the cats. And let's remember that Liz was operating on no sleep in a hotel room when those texts were sent. And all I got was the preview image on my lock screen of a cat in like a night webcam. And I was like, so that was
What's
very
better
funny.
about that story is I only meant to send 2 of those screenshots. 2 of the times I sent screenshots, I was trying to send a video and I couldn't figure out how to make it work.
There's also times in the group chat that I love where so we don't send voice memos, obviously, because not all of us can hear them. But Alexis absolutely will send videos of her signing, even though only one other person in the group chat understands what she's saying. And then she ends with, "Love you," and ends the video. And it's like, Alexis, we don't know what you're saying.
Well, hey, I figure sometimes there are voice memos sent in the group chat, and then it's like, hey, we'll just transcribe it later. So I figure if we can do that, then I can leave out Liz and Marissa.
Absolutely. I give you full permission to. I just love when I get a 2-minute long video and I watch the whole thing. This is the other thing. I don't
That's
ignore
what
them.
I love. I love that you watch
course.
the
I watch the entire thing and I might get a word.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, oh, you said Sly. Uh-huh. You could have got that much. Probably
wait,
figured
can
it
I
was for
change
Sly.
my answer?
Yeah, absolutely you can.
It's Liz's DM to JJ saying, all caps, who is he? Is he 911? And JJ responding in all caps, that's Eddie.
Oh, I thought it was talking about with Eddie. That's so funny.
I would like to say, I will say this very quickly. JJ very kindly took time while I was working in a chemical lab to explain to me this weekend why Eddie is attractive, because I don't always get it, right?
Oh, we did a whole deep dive.
It was a whole deep
Sip and
dive,
Spill.
right? For my little ace ass explaining why Eddie was attractive. So today, my mom is over helping me with some stuff. My mom is in love with Eddie, but she only recognizes Eddie when he's on screen half the time. Sometimes the hair messes her up and she thinks they're two different people. Mom watched several episodes not knowing Edmundo and Eddie were the same person. It's fine, okay? So today, we're watching the only episode in which I see the attractiveness, which is Eddie being a dad, right? It's like, I don't even remember. Eddie's just a dad, the whole episode, right? And my mom, again, is like, who is this man? We really like him. Is this the Edmundo? And I'm like, Mom, that's Eddie. Being very Spanish in this episode. But like, that's Eddie. That's Eddie. You know Eddie. She's like, well, sometimes his attractiveness varies on the hair. Do you know what I mean? And I'm like, only because JJ took 45 minutes to explain it to me. The end.
Oh my God. Obsessed.
I'm trying to find my answer. I don't think I have an answer for our group chat. I know I have an answer for my sibling group chat with my brother.
You want to
and his
expose your siblings?
girlfriend.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
we love Melody and Jack.
It's not a single
way
message.
Too long to realize that your brother's girlfriend and your friend Melody were the same person.
Melody? Yeah, it took me a hot
It's
second
confusing for people, yeah. But it's not a single text. It's the night before we went to see Multiverse of Madness, we had this long conversation of me and Jack talking about, you know, the cameos that were supposed to be in the movie, like all of the things you were like supposed to watch before you went to see the movie that you didn't really need to watch before you saw the movie. And we were like going back and forth. And every other message, Melody would be like, what is that? Who? Wait, there's that's in Marvel? Like, I can't say what the things are because they're in the movie and we're trying to be spoiler free right now. But it was very funny. It was truly Jack and I having one conversation and Melody inserting herself. What? Who? What? Am I gonna understand anything in this movie?
Damn.
That was the answer I came up with immediately.
I've just been
everybody else
through
is
it.
funnier in our group chat than me.
There was also a long thread where I pointed out all of the things that could be dangerous in the lows. And everyone was much more invested than I thought they would be. So there were just a bunch of photos of Dex crews that went on.
It's true. And nails and all kinds of things you would find at Lowe's with the prices still attached, which was also very helpful.
It was the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, they're very economical, you know.
I would like to shout out JJ's answer, which is in the DMs, the one episode I was watching with JJ of 911 Lone Star, where I said the hurt comfort ratio of Lone Star is about 3-1. Sly, how do you feel about that ratio? Does that track for you?
No, I feel like it's much more comfort than hurt.
I was feeling a lot of hurt.
So we talked a lot about how Alexis is very much Buck on OG, but I am very much TK on Lone Star. Like I like when you say bad things about TK, it hurts because it's like you're saying you don't like me as a person. So that's my like Lone Star is my comfort show because I am the personification of TK.
I have no clue who TK is. I do not recognize this character. I
already called you out on Thursday. It's fine.
Did you really? I think I missed that.
I told JJ explicitly.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's do one more question and then we'll move on to our other game and then we'll come back to this. We have a lot of pretty unhinged questions here. So I'm looking forward to seeing everyone respond in the comments. Excuse me. This is what happens when you drink coffee this late at night. Okay. This is me being
movie.
Marissa, go for it. Say it for us.
Reasonable.
Beautiful. This is me being reasonable. And the question is, talk about a time you had a completely reasonable approach to a situation that perhaps someone else was making worse. So we all see it in the trailer. Wanda's like, this is me being reasonable. You know?
It's not in the trailer.
Is it not in the trailer? Well, it's all over my internet. I thought it was in the trailer because I knew that line was coming well before I saw the movie, and I was like trying not to be on the internet. But
no,
anyway.
the internet is in love with it, rightfully so, because it's the best line in the movie, but it's not in the trailer.
Okay, well, you've probably seen it. Sorry, we spoiled it for you, but this is me being reasonable. What was a time that you were being completely reasonable? I would like to say, I thought I was being completely reasonable when I was trying to be a good friend and understand what 911 Lone Star was. So I watched random episodes and 15-minute increments of them so I could try and have some understanding. But apparently others did not perceive that as reasonable. I thought it was completely reasonable.
I have no stake in this game.
It was episode 3 and 4 of a 4-episode story arc, and you were starting halfway through each of them.
Again, that was me being completely reasonable. I now understand. I've had some character growth, but
Have you watched? Last week you watched 2 episodes also entirely out of context.
But I watched the whole episode and I didn't ask Sly for help, did I? I asked JJ.
My favorite thing was that Liz was like,
basically the same thing.
I watched the episode in context. And I'm like, listen, watching the whole episode does not put it in context in a episode season. Like, you can't.
I will say, I thought I was doing really well until Rob Lowe was staring at clowns. And then I was like, okay, this is why you watch a show in order. Right, Sly?
I wonder why. Sorry,
Okay,
can we move on?
Yeah, someone else go. So who else has a completely
I have an
reasonable
answer.
take? Okay.
I almost never have an answer. I have an answer for this one. I think it's perfectly reasonable. I am moving on Thursday. I have packed 2 boxes. And at this point, I think that's perfectly reasonable. I've got plenty of time. I've got Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. 4 days. 4 days is totally reasonable. I think 3 years worth of stuff, 4 days, definitely. Full-time student, yeah, 100%. I think that's a very reasonable and healthy approach, and nobody should be concerned for the next 4 days of my life.
Moving sucks.
I don't think it's personally reasonable for you and for Liz and Marissa to be going through moving trauma at the same time. We have like a one trauma at a time group chat.
Yeah, that's a rule. That's actually a standard business practice for this show, is that only one person can be going through hell at once. Mm-hmm. Sorry, I gotta be in the dark here because my eye's starting to hurt. Yeah, I completely agree with that. So who's gonna, I can't change my situation. Marissa? Don't move.
Well,
perfectly reasonable.
You want to talk to my parents?
I would like to be a fly in the wall for that conversation.
Alexis, as someone that's always reasonable, do you have a specific level of reasonableness you would like to share with the class?
Listen, the only situation I can think of is actually reasonable. Like, I'm sure there are times that I have been less than reasonable. But the one that keeps coming to mind is when I went on a date with a man who turned out to be a Nazi. And then when he tried to teach my children's class, I put him in an arm bar in the middle of the floor. But I still stand that was reasonable. And I won that fight.
Completely reasonable.
So this is the most interesting life. This is another constant in the group chat. Alexis will just say something insane as if it's totally normal. And we'll just be like, you've lived so many lives.
I think that's perfectly reasonable. It's
my coach took photos. I have them somewhere.
I think that might have been even too reasonable.
I would say perhaps not reasonable enough.
You don't get to stomp on my mat and try to take over my class.
No. Period. Absolutely.
Do you think it's reasonable to have a stroller for your cats?
I do think that's reasonable. Here's the thing, because I was going to send the stroller back because we don't particularly like the stroller. And then, and I'm going to try to say this with a straight face because I swear to God, this is what happened, but everyone is going to laugh at me. Okay? So just don't laugh. I have been I have been very concerned about fire safety for no reason at all. So I looked up some fire tips for animals, and many people listed the stroller as an easier vehicle to get cats out of a fire than an actual carrier.
That's being completely reasonable.
That is reasonable. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't laugh at that. That is actually reasonable.
Yep. My brain is going far too fast for the amount of brain cells I have left based on everything that was just said. Sly?
I feel like I'm never reasonable. So like
Babe, you're always reasonable.
my entire existence could be an answer to this question.
See, I would have said you're the most reasonable.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that says about the rest of us.
I think it's completely reasonable to be watching or reading 5 different things at once.
Oh, we
Because
did
you have to
discuss
have
that.
a different story for every emotion. Because if I'm experiencing A emotion, I can't watch B show. So I'm constantly consuming stories in multiple stories at the same time.
Which I find very impressive because I cannot.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if I can do that. What's next, Liz?
What's next? We're gonna play a game. Mild spoiler, but it's not the kind of spoiler that's going to ruin the movie for you. It's more of this world building nonsense that we always complain about because they just tell us things about the way that Phase 4 operates and we just have to blindly accept them with no real logic.
I mean, they kind of say it in the trailers. It's like every night the same dream and every morning the same nightmare. Like dreams. The movie's about dreams.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about a little bit of world building that we did get from Multiverse of Madness. Again, not really, it's not going to spoil the movie for you, but if you are worried, you can skip ahead a few minutes. Alexis is sticking around for this segment as well. We're going to play a game based on the idea that dreams are windows into the lives of our multiversal selves, which is a piece of world building around how the dreams you have is actually you seeing what a variant of you in another universe is up to. And they make a nice joke in the movie around some of the funny dreams that we have and how that means our variants are not having a good time. So for everyone in the chat, we would like to know, what is that recurring dream that you're having? And how's your variant doing? What are they up to? I'll start. I think I've said this on the show before, but my most frequent dream that I had towards, it wasn't even when the pandemic started, but it bled into when the pandemic was happening. It was like that period of time of like before pandemic, during pandemic. I was having a dream like every single night for at least a month, but now I've been trying to think about it during the show, and I think it might have been closer to 6 or 7 weeks. Every single night I was having this dream that I was missing a Lewis Capaldi concert. I was at an outdoor festival and I could hear him playing in the distance, and I couldn't make it to the stage in time for a set. Every single night. So somewhere out there, there's many Liz's trying to see Lewis Capaldi at an outdoor festival and just never making it. And I'm very sad for them. So I feel real bad for that. I mean, this version of Liz also has not made it to a Lewis Capaldi concert because every time I've bought tickets or had tickets to see him, shit's happened. So we're all, I guess that's my, like, you know, like, I could say a spoiler for the movie, but I feel like there's other characters in the movie that never get their heart desire. Maybe mine is just to see Lewis Capaldi in concert, and that's never going to happen for me. So
that's your
say
multiversal consistency.
That's my multiversal consistency.
Yeah.
Say la vie. That's mine. Who would like to go next? Marissa, you have a really funny one here.
Okay, well, I would just like to say, starting off, I maintain that I don't dream, and that makes me America Chavez, but apparently that wasn't an acceptable answer. So this is not a recurring dream, because I don't have recurring dreams, because I'm America Chavez. But anyway, I did have a dream once that I went ice skating with the 11th Doctor from Doctor Who. Mm-hmm. That was it. Like, there was no plot to the dream. It was just like, I woke up and I remembered being like outdoors on a pond, ice skating with the 11th Doctor, like bow tie and all. So I hope that means that somewhere in the multiverse, my variant is the 11th Doctor's companion.
Love that for you.
I kind of love the idea of you as the Doctor's companion. I feel like that's something we need to explore.
Oh my God, Sylvan, yes, it was on a pond.
Does that have special meaning that those of us who are not Doctor Who fans?
Oh,
It does, and we can get we can get into
character
it later.
name.
There might be some other chances to talk about Doctor Who later in the show.
Okay, beautiful.
I don't know.
We will revisit that. I want to just quickly throw to the chat here because I'm really liking some of what I'm seeing. Bunky says, I forgot to do the Wordle yesterday and I'm very distraught about it. I'm very distraught for it. Is that your multiversal truth that every version of Bunky forgot to do the Wordle? What was the word? We'll never know. Don't spoil it if you did it. We will never know. That's the key here. Sylvan saying my variant is apparently stuck in a grocery store. Like a Trader Joe's? Like why are we in a Whole Foods? Like what kind of different grocery stores? Any grocery store? I'm sorry for all the bots we're seeing in the chat tonight. This is not fun, friends, but I'm blocking them as fast as I can see them. JJ saying recurring dream has to do with a giant snake chasing around my house until I trip and then it bites me and I wake up with sleep paralysis. Whoa, friend, that's a big one. But
wow.
We if you know anything about the Thirsty Thursdays, you know that the day after the flood, I was out there talking about the snake and 911 Lone Star because I was very concerned that they brought in snakes and did not complete either. So
it was a cute snake, and I stand by that.
I agree. I just feel like they should have brought the snake back. That's all I'm saying. I was just waiting for the snake to come back and just like add some more drama, but alas, I am a Slytherin if we're gonna go that way with it. So perhaps I'm wanting snakes to add drama, but alas. Sly, do you have something you would like to pitch here?
So my dream consistency is that whenever I have like a big interaction I know will occur the next day, like my dream self scripts how the interaction will play out, which I think just means I have anxiety in this multiverse. But we were talking earlier that I'm not the only one with recurring night terrors surrounding the Rainforest Cafe.
Oh, yeah, I have also had those. It's a scary place, y'all.
As someone that's never been, what is terrifying about this place?
It's full of animatronic animals.
It's like rainforest Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah,
So
but they're like
the best part about mine is my recurring night terrors surrounding Rainforest Cafe it happens outside the Rainforest Cafe, in which there somewhere there was this wishing penny pool, and there was like an alligator sculpture at the bottom of it, and the reoccurring dream is me falling into it and the bottom of the pit disappearing, and me falling into the abyss of nothingness outside of the Rainforest Cafe.
Listen, about a week, maybe 2 weeks ago, I decided to go on this internal rant about why people ship Liz and Marissa versus why people ship Sly and I. I wrote an essay about it. It was a whole thing. And
where did this happen?
Is it peer reviewed and published?
It's not peer reviewed and published, but I have it.
I would like to read it as someone who is excited.
It was very long and kind of angsty, but where I came down was that Liz and Marissa feel like a coffee shop AU to me, but on the Hallmark Channel, right? It feels very like there was a businesswoman who only did business, and that they were a coffee shop and it was happy, right? And I feel like Sly and I feel like a very angsty, eventually happy, complicated soulmate AU that you either love or you hate, but it's a complicated, intertwined ride, right? And I feel like the fact that we both have night terrors about the Rainforest Cafe is just proof that I am correct.
We did have this whole conversation the other week about shared trauma.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or what's your trauma?
Forget your gender role in a relationship. What is your trauma role in a relationship?
What is your trauma role? Because we realized that Marissa and I have very similar trauma. Liz and Alexis have very similar trauma, which makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense in our
maps out a
independent
lot of things.
relationships.
Yeah.
I have to pull up this comment. Somewhere in the multiverse, Alexis and Sly are on a very bad date at the Rainforest Cafe.
But you know what my response to this is going to be, right? No. Okay. Someone knows what my response is going to be. As long as there is not bread or a tracheotomy involved in this bad date at the Rainforest Cafe, I feel like we're fine. I feel like it ends well in the end.
We are not playing out the Valentine's Day episode from season 1. Thank you very much.
Marissa?
This works because I'm old. Okay, continue.
No,
Yes, Elizabeth.
I feel like we have much to discuss in our relationship outside of this episode based on everything we've just heard.
I did once have to reassure Alexis because she said we were too amicable to each other. We were just too nice to each other all the time. I was like, we have more of a business relationship where we're also married, but Sly and Alexis are married and then also do business together.
I would say Marissa is my work wife. Fact.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, so there was this thing that occurred on Twitter. Sly, you don't know this story. There was this thing that occurred on Twitter that Sly commented on, but I didn't see the whole tweet. So all I saw was this tweet explaining that these two people were engaged and to be married, and they were going to do a conference on how to work better together. That's all I saw. And then Sly had commented on it. And I was like, oh my God, are we not working well together? And then I discovered it was actually a whole thing about friendship, and it was fine. I also almost beat somebody up in the comments for how they responded to Sly, but I didn't.
It's even better because these are two people that I like venerate in like the podcasting industry. They're amazing, love them. But I stole their catchphrase because they say they're partners in life, love, and podcasting. And I said, that's Alexis and me. So I completely ripped off their like cutesy relationship catchphrase for my own cutesy relationship podcast duo.
It gave me a little scare, but everything's fine now.
I'm so glad that everything is fine now. I missed a lot in the past week. So what? Does anyone else want to air out what I've missed in the past 5 days of not checking the group chat? Like what else? Anyone watching knows some drama between the four of us that I'm not aware of that we should get out in the air right now? What else have I missed?
I don't know. I didn't know half of this.
Yeah.
I think we've uncovered it for now.
We've unpacked it for now. Okay, let's see what else Wanda wants to throw our way. I have too many thoughts moving for the speed that my brain is willing to work at right now. So I feel like I'll have much to say on Instagram stories tomorrow when I've had a chance to unpack this episode. All right, Marissa, why don't you intro this one for us?
You break the rules and become the hero. I do it and I become the enemy. That doesn't seem fair. I agree, Wanda. That one is in the trailer. And it's also on my t-shirt. Plug for Bird and Shop on Etsy. What is this question? I'm scrolling. This question is...
Who's a hero you think would make a compelling antagonist? I want to throw that one to Sly first because you kind of brought this up during the Multiverse of Madness segment.
Yeah, I came up with this question. I did not come up with an answer to this question. So there's that. Oh God, there's so many characters that I would argue are already antagonists.
Let's keep it MCU specific. Let's like draw some boundaries in for everyone in the comments. Let's keep it MCU. A hero you think would make a compelling antagonist. Let's keep the actors out of it because I have some hot spicy takes based on things that are not related to MCU plots.
All of my favorite characters already are heroes who are antagonists. Like,
I have a favorite character that would be a great antagonist, but they're not an MCU character.
Okay, are they a Marvel Comics character?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll allow it.
Marvel
is it Alpine?
It is Alpine. How did you know?
Sly?
Would you like to expand on that, or do you think the point stands?
I think the point stands.
Excellent.
I don't think Alpine would make a great antagonist. I hate to break it to you.
I think when you have been forgotten for how many ever years that the MCU has existed, you could find a way to come back and be a pretty sassy problem.
Mm-hmm. See,
See,
but Bunky,
I'm trying to think, and all my answers already are antagonists.
I would
Like,
argue that
say
Nebula
Echo.
already is an antagonist.
Mm-hmm. Nebula has. I think that we can consider like
Bucky's been an antagonist,
Yeah.
Loki's been an antagonist, Wanda's been an antagonist. All my faves.
Yeah.
Yelena's been an
love a
antagonist. They've all
problematic
been
fave.
antagonists already. I like morally gray characters.
Would we argue that Tony Stark is an antagonist? Because I would.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm.
I mean, he's the antagonist in Civil War.
Oh, I have an answer. Someone. Okay, I'll see if you guys can guess. It's someone who still exists in the MCU who perhaps needs a chance to be written out of the MCU.
Oh, I think you and I just had the same answer.
Okay, let's see if we can say it on the count of 3. Ready? I'm gonna say 1, 2, 3, and then we're gonna do it. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Pepper
Director
Potts.
Fury.
Oh. I like your answer though. I'm with you.
No, I like both of these. Wow.
Okay, Sly, you go first. Why Nick Fury?
I just think that, you know, he's been the like sort of omnipresent sort of character, and we see him in this like venerated role for so long. Like he's always like, you know, the good guys, right? And I feel like he's been around long enough and has seen enough shit that he would be very easy to make him lose it a little bit.
Yep.
And I think that would be really fun to see him lose it and then disappear. And just anything to set up Bucky as the man on the wall.
I love that. My mind went to
Alexis
Pepper Potts.
doesn't want it.
No,
I don't, but I still love you, so it's fine.
I just think it would be an easy way for them, because you could tell that he's sort of waiting on how involved he wants to be in the Cedarverse. That I think it would be an easy way to be like, he's still around, we're not unaliving this character, but you never have to see him again.
That I agree with. That I will take.
Thank you.
You're very welcome, my love.
you're so generous when it's Sly who's saying
Spousal privilege. It's a thing.
I said Pepper Potts because I think there's a lot of factors right now that we're seeing that would contribute to her being a well-positioned antagonist I could get behind. Like we've seen a lot of women stepping into these roles, like with Sharon, with Val. I know there's more women than that. Like you could talk about Wanda and Multiverse of Madness, but I won't. Like I just feel like we're seeing this thread. Yelena in Hawkeye was an antagonist for a hot second. Like, so if we're thinking about Marvel's trend of putting women into antagonist positions, to me she makes sense because she still exists, and they're kind of like trying to exit us from original Marvel into this new phase, which means she's gonna have to go. So what's a compelling way to bring her back and then allow Gwyneth Paltrow to be free of her Marvel obligations without it being weird that we never hear about Stark Industries again? Make her use her power for evil and then give maybe Tom Holland a chance to fight her? That'd be cool. I'd be into that. Thoughts?
That would be heartbreaking.
But wouldn't you watch it? Wouldn't you watch that movie?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I do kind of miss her in combat, in action. You know, she got a few moments. It would be interesting if she like
very good combat ever.
She's in Final Battle
and
Endgame, and she's in the big Iron Man 3 ending in not enough clothing. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't have an answer.
Alexis, do you have anyone else? No?
Alpine.
Alpine?
Yeah, I mean, I've got silly ones like the waitress in the coffee shop in Avengers.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like that got blown to smithereens around her. I feel like that would be a good one.
Yep.
I think
Yep.
I don't want this to happen, and I think it would actually be really bad, but it would be fun to see Zendaya turn bad, to see MJ
I just
turn
want
bad.
to see Zendaya take the role. I don't want to see
Right,
MJ
I
turn
wanna
bad,
see-
but I want to see
I want-
Zendaya. Yep.
Exactly. I don't want this MJ to do that, but I want Zendaya to be bad.
The guy in the Apple Store, Mr. Noob Master.
Noob Master.
That's a good answer. Absolutely. Yep. The only other one that came to mind for me, and I'm losing it again. Dang it, who was it? Someone from Hawkeye. Gone now. We'll see if it comes back.
The cop lady?
Yes.
Who?
Or
the cop lady.
The cop lady who totally breaks into the precinct to retrieve the arrows.
Yes.
Yeah, breaking.
Yeah.
Was
All
that
of the
right?
LARPers.
All of
Every
the-
single
yeah.
one of them. Yep.
Yeah.
Let's spin the wheel and get a new question up here. I feel like there's a lot of folks that deserve better story arcs. If that means I have to be an antagonist, I'm here for it. I'd still see the movie. Okay, where are we next?
Do you know it's ancient custom to bow in the presence of the Sorcerer Supreme? This is another sly question. What's a weird custom that is fandom specific?
To me,
Can you give us an example?
This gives the same energy as that like infamous quote, like, don't recite the dark magic to me. I was there when it was written. Like, that's the vibe of this question, and I'm obsessed with it.
It's like the like what's like a weird thing that like happens within a fandom that people outside of the fandom are like, this is so weird, why do you keep doing it? My example is the I Love You 3000, because that was going around everywhere before I even fathomed consuming any Marvel media, and I was like, okay, good for you. What is the point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, there's a couple infamous examples of this that I will never be able to erase from my skull. One is the Tumblr "Where'd you get your shoelaces" thing from way back in the day.
Oh,
Is it thanks? I got them from the president. Is that what it was? Or
Yeah.
And then also red vines.
Hell yeah!
I can use that entire scene immediately on the spot right this minute.
I would like to see it, please. The floor is yours, Sly.
I don't know the whole thing.
But
oh my god!
Honestly, I don't even know
like
what
to
we're
see
talking about.
It's a quote
I'm a bad
from
fan.
a Harry Potter sequel. The concept was one of the like friends had a dad who worked for the company, and they delivered a shit ton of red vines to the theater, and so they just had a shit ton of red vines, and it became a reoccurring joke within the group of friends who were putting on Star Kid productions. And so there's a scene in a Harry Potter sequel where they go like, what's your favorite color of vine that's not green? Red vines. What's your favorite Amy Winehouse song? Red vines. What's your favorite way to say red wines in a German accent? Red vines. Oh my gosh, where have you been all my life? Oh, in a closet under some stairs. It's fine.
I love you more and more every day.
Sly, everybody. Beautifully done.
Beautifully done. It's a Star Kid thing.
So I have to add some context here that I think makes it even better, which is that at the time, and I'm not talking about major cities. I grew up in rural Canada, okay? We did not have red vines. Like red vines, I don't know if they weren't available in Canada or if they weren't available outside of like maybe Toronto and Vancouver. But
I'm pretty sure it's a Canada thing. I feel like I've had this conversation before.
Not a thing. So when this joke came out, we adopted it with our whole freaking chest, even though these things were not available. And then my friend, shout out Kristen, which is a Kristen who is not the Kristen I usually talk about on the show. It's a different Kristen, but Kristen went to Florida, I think it was, or Maine, and brought back red vines and didn't tell anyone. And then came to school and was like, I have a surprise. and it was a bag of red vines. And didn't every A Harry Potter musical fan in that school show up in the girls' bathroom to take a photo on our LG flip phones with the bag of red vines? And we all tried them, and they were horrible. And we were like,
they're not
this is what
good.
the
Red
joke's
vines.
about. We
Red
waited.
vines are my favorite.
I
I get
like
them
red
every time I
vines
go
and
to a
orange.
movie. Literally every time I go to a movie, I get red vines.
But Twizzlers.
Twizzlers are disgusting.
I prefer red vines too.
Well, that's the end of the show for you. Marissa, do you have anything to say about Twizzlers?
I don't like either of them.
Well, this is the Liz show now because I can't do a show with people that have such horrible opinions on tasty treats.
For some reason,
Where'd you go?
for some reason, Sly and I get kicked off the show like every week. I don't know why we're still here.
We need an HR department.
And we need to take the producer controllers away from Liz every time I get slightly offended about things that don't
No, because
matter.
Marissa kicked us off and then kicked herself off.
I kicked Marissa off. I was like, Marissa, you got to go too.
It
You
was
were all
very
kicked
dramatic,
off.
but it was also fitting because I had to lose Wanda because my feed kept lagging, and I was really getting bothered by the fact that like I would touch my necklace and then the feed would have me touch my necklace like 5 solid seconds later. So yes, I know we lost my green screen. We had to say goodbye to Wanda, but it's good now. I can move, and my movements and my voice are in the same time as what I'm actually doing.
Please keep demonstrating. We'd love to see more.
Yay!
See that real-time movement?
Jesus Christ.
Okay, who else has fandom-specific things that they want to call out? Any other examples here?
What is the... Well, DFTBA. There's also
That's a good one.
I'm so grateful for
Hank
our little
Green.
infinity. Maybe okay, we'll be our always. Just like
Wow,
real
all
solid
the John Green quotes.
2014 Tumblr energy. I feel like it has to be Tumblr energy to answer this question.
I have one that's not Tumblr energy.
Amazing.
If you know the answer to this question, please raise your hand in the comments or on screen and do not say what it is. Who knows what a house hippo is?
It's in the back of my head, but
No,
I
you can't
give
say.
the answer.
You can't say. Who
No.
knows what-
I don't actually know. I know that I do know, but I can't tell you. I couldn't tell you what it is.
Okay. Who knows what a house hippo is? I'm gonna wait for the comments to catch up here.
Familiar.
I know. I know it, but I don't know it.
This is a deep cut into Canadian. Anyone like in their late teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s knows what a house hippo is. Who knows what a house hippo is?
I know Fees talked about it at some point. I just can't remember why.
Nothing. All right. Everyone's homework is to go Google the house hippo PSA. It's
okay, I remember.
Monkey got it.
It was an ad about it was a public service commercial about like don't believe everything you see on TV. Like don't believe, like have some media literacy. But it was so good. An entire generation of Canadians thought that there were house hippos that were hippos the size of a mouse that would walk around your house and sleep in your shoes. And it took a very long time for many of us to realize that it was a PSA about don't believe everything you see on TV, and we did think house hippos were real. Goosey is with me. Haven't heard that. This is a deep cut into like Canadian culture, but I think that's a Canadian fandom moment. Personally, you should really go watch the PSA. It's so good.
Cut into Canadian history is my conspiracy around.
God.
We can't talk about that. We can't talk about that on the show. That is something
we don't have time.
We don't have time to tell y'all, but Sly was very confused about a very tragic event in Canadian history, and Theodore Tugboat.
I wasn't confused. I just got mixed up what the result of that tragic event was. That's all we'll say. Let's spin the wheel.
Well, okay, let's spin the wheel. That's a great idea. Let's just keep Wanda going here. Bing, bang, boom. Oh my god! But please go watch the House Hippo PSA if you haven't seen it. It is so good. Goosey's from Texas and knew the House Hippo PSA. I'm
Where's
a fan of you, Goosey.
Oh, it was so close.
It's all right.
Okay, where are we now?
It'll get you back on the lunchbox.
Favorite piece of fandom merch you own or want?
Ooh. Marissa, I feel like you have to start this one with your very sad take. What is your favorite piece of fandom merch that you own?
Well, I don't own it yet, but I will own it soon. I need the Scarlet Witch Mickey ears. They went on sale on Shop Disney yesterday, and they sold out in like 20 minutes, I think. I did not receive a pair. I am hopefully going to the parks soon and will hopefully be purchasing them in the parks. I will own them eventually. Look them up. They're very cool. They're part of the Multiverse of Madness merch. It's like the Scarlet Witch like tiara and Mickey ears that are like the design of her like bodice outfit. And that will be my favorite piece of merch once I purchase it. As of right now, I don't know what it is.
Well, I'll be awaiting the day that you log into the show with the ears on. And we will make you wear them for the whole 2 hours.
I don't know how that's going to work with my headphones.
You'll have to figure it out. That's on you.
Be done. I do Mickey ears and headphones for my kids all the time.
Okay, great.
Can you give us a DIY, Alexis?
Like in real time?
Yeah. Give us. No, I didn't mean right this second. I meant.
I'm like, yeah, hang on.
Alexis is always game to jump in with me when I ask you to do things we don't prep before we start. Alexis, what is your favorite piece of fandom merch? Because I'm sure you have many unique pieces.
So I have one that's like merch, and that I have the collection of the Bucky bears, of all the Bucky bears. So I have like Wakanda Bucky as a bear, I have Bucky bear as a bear, I have all the Bucky bears. But I also have a Hawkeye bear that I made that has Chuck Taylors that are signed by Matt Fraction. And I have a bunch of comics that the various artists involved in Fraction's run drew pictures on for me.
I love that. How come we've never seen that?
You've never asked, I guess.
I didn't know. How am I supposed to ask for something I don't know you have, Alexis? Alexis, show me all the things that are interesting that we've never talked about before right now.
I'll just take you on a journey through the house. Like you just call it house.
Did Sly go to retrieve a visual aid?
I did.
Oh my
God. You said bears, and I remembered about something I had that I forgot existed because it hasn't been in my eyesight in a second. But I have a Bucky bear.
Oh, wait, I wasn't done looking at it. Hold on,
I'm gonna need a second to recover from that. I wasn't expecting that.
Here,
So
wait, hold on.
Cute.
Hold on. Wait. Meet One Direction Bear. Bring him back. Teddy Bear Hour on the after party.
I love that.
Is that your favorite piece of merch, Liz?
I have to say though, I do have a piece of merch that is very often seen. You see it on me every day, and I don't think people know it's a fandom reference.
I know what I have.
A St. Christopher medallion.
Wait. Can you show people? I'm making you full screen here. This is the most iconic thing in the entire world.
I got a St. Christopher medallion, and I know it was a trend going around like a couple months ago, but I got it like early last summer, and I have worn it ever since. So like,
Trendsetter.
I almost swooned when I found that piece of information out, but that was a hot second.
The best part of that story is that one of the first times I ever talked to Sly on camera, you were wearing it with like a military sweater.
I was wearing my Sergeant James Bard sweater.
And I thought you were like actually wearing like US military. I was like, oh my God, like Sly's a veteran.
My Sergeant James Barnes sweater is definitely up there on one of my favorite.
That's a great sweater.
It's a great sweater. It's so good.
I can't wear that one in public anymore because people ask me questions as if I'm actually in the US Army.
Oh dear. Oh dear. I have so much merch, and I wish that I was in my usual setup so I could actually show y'all some of the pieces I have. I have one of the Taylor Swift snow globes, which is pretty hard to get your hands on. And the best part about it is that Marcus ordered it for me for Christmas and didn't know how hard they were to get. And then it didn't arrive in time. And he was like, I ordered you something from the Taylor Swift store, but it didn't come in. I'm like, that's really sweet of you, because it's like, you know, those pieces are expensive if you're Canadian. He's like, yeah, I got you like a snow globe. And I was like, what snow globe did you buy me? He's like, I don't know, just whatever one they had. I'm like, no. Mm-mm. How did you get one? Like, what? And he shows me, and I'm like, how did you know to buy that? And he's like, I got like an email that like the store like had. And I'm like, those sold out in like 3 minutes flat. He was like, did they? And I'm like, and I couldn't even be excited because I just couldn't believe he had bought one. And then I immediately went on eBay to see what the resale value of it was. And I was like, do you realize this is what you bought? And he was like, no, I just thought it was cute. And I was like, oh, okay. So anyway, now I have this snow globe that I never would have thought to order for myself because they're so hard to get. And he, on a whim, thought it would be a cute little Christmas gift. And now I'm like, you don't realize the value that, and now the insurance is going to evaluate it. And I'm going to have to yell at them and be like, listen, that's not just any snow globe. Do you know what snow globe that is? You better not hurt it. Anyway, so that's probably one of my favorite merch pieces that I have. And I would show you if it was available to me.
I'm going through all my sticker folders. I'm trying to find a visual aid. But I do have a Getaway Car Loki's version sticker that I was going to show off. But I can't find it in this short time period.
Marissa, have you said your favorite merch piece?
Yeah, the Scarlet Witch ears.
No, I meant that you actually own. Do you want to plug something you actually own?
Sometimes I
I can plug the t-shirt that I'm wearing that I've plugged 3 times on the show already. It's from Burden Shop on Etsy, our friend Naira. It says that
love Naira, shout out.
With
it's
the
really
Scarlet
cute.
Witch tiara. It's really cute. You can see like a full body shot on my Instagram.
She also has a fabulous Tatooine shirt that I'm obsessed with.
Yeah, lots of Star Wars stuff, lots of Loki, all kinds of, fandom vibes.
I also think that your shirt out of context is really funny. If you're walking down the street and you have no idea and you just see Marissa wearing a shirt that says that's not fair, I think that's beautiful. That is such a moment.
Yeah.
Shall we speed through our last 2 questions here and get to the end of the show?
Gosh.
What do y'all say?
What's it gonna be?
I think these last 2 questions are pretty speedy, there's 3. Oh God. Okay. Well, at least 2 are going to be quick.
I think
I'm going to leave this reality. What was the last thing or book or story that you did not finish?
Oh.
Last thing you DNF'd, everybody. Leave it in the chat. You have an answer?
Yeah. The Gilded Age on HBO Max. Apologies to Julian Fellows. I would like to finish it. HBO Max doesn't want me to. I love HBO Max. I love their programming. Their app does not work. And I've tried several times to finish watching this show, and it crashes every time. So as a result, I did not finish The Gilded Age.
Sly?
I click on a lot of bad fan fiction that I DNF. So like I've gotten better about DNFing things, but I'm trying to think of like what have I actually like besides crappy written fan fiction. Come back to me. I'll think on it.
Mm-hmm. Alexis?
See, I do the same thing. I also start a bunch of Kindle Unlimited novels and then like a page in and I'm like, nah. But other than that, I started and I really tried to get through Sour Grapes, which is a Prime documentary about wine fraud, which should be super fascinating because wine fraud is super cool. I mean, not cool. It's super bad. Wine fraud is bad. Don't do wine fraud. But it's highly interesting. Anyway, there are some very cool books about it. But the documentary was just a bunch of talking heads of like straight white Ivy League men complaining about wine fraud. And I just, I couldn't. So I only got like 45 minutes in.
I have a really bad one that everyone's going to be really mad at me about. And I have a good reason. It's not that I did not want to not finish it. I do want to read it and I do want to finish it. But I have this problem where the second I start enjoying a fic, I can't think until it's done.
Mm-hmm.
And I read the first 2 chapters of All the Young Boys, or All the Young Dudes, sorry, which is a Marauders fic that is sweeping the internet right now. It's literally I think it's probably the biggest piece of fan fiction right now.
Iconic Harry Potter fic for years.
And let's be fair, it's 4 books long. It's 500,000 words.
So this is the problem. I read the first 2 chapters. I enjoyed them as much as you enjoy the first 2 chapters of anything, enough that you realize you want to continue reading it. And then I saw how long it was, and I had to stop because I do not have the time to read 4 books in a week, and that's what's going to happen. So I've told myself in June, when I have hopefully a teeny tiny bit of downtime, I'm going to read it. But I did not finish it when I started it, and it's been really bothering me because I love the fan edits. I'm on Marauders TikTok. I love seeing Andrew Garfield and Ben Barnes, and Timothée Chalamet, and I love seeing them, and it's so much fun, and I have no context for anything, but they're all in love with each other, and also they're not. And I would very much like to read the story to see what people are talking about.
I can't be mad at you because I haven't read it either. I have read.
Did you DNF it?
No, I haven't started it. I've read fan fiction about All the Young Dudes, but I haven't read All the Young Dudes.
All the Young Dudes, yeah. It's maybe we'll do a book club. Perhaps.
I'd be down for that. I haven't read it in years. I guess my answer would be I've DNF'd the show like 6 times. And I will finish it eventually, but I keep getting to the point where I'm like, I can't continue with this, and that is unfortunately BBC's Merlin.
Yes, I knew what it was.
I'm trying so hard to get through it. I just need to. JJ said that I need to start season 4 so I get to see Morgana go full Morgana, which I'm here for. It's just. I'm watching the show because a friend watched it with like no Arthurian lore context and fell in love and really wanted people to watch it. And so I started watching it, and I do have, Arthurian lore background. And I understand why it was such a huge piece of fandom at the time it was happening. But it's just... I think it's like the comedic elements aren't hitting with me, and that's enough to take me out of it. And I'm like, I know what stories they're trying to tell, which makes it harder to continue with the story. If I know, I'm like, oh, they're telling this story. Oh, they're telling this story. It makes it harder for me to like get through it. But I will finish it. I will get through it.
It will move off the DNF list.
Me 5 years.
I respect that. I really do. Let's speed through these last 2 questions because these are 2 of the questions I was most excited to do tonight. And we're going to do them quick. No explanations, just vibes. The first one is, get the hell out of my universe. And the question is, which wig would you permanently erase from the MCU? Which wig would you permanently erase from the MCU? Put your answer in the comments. Marissa, we have to start with you because you are our wig connoisseur.
Doctor Strange is permanent, like a present wig. Current wig.
Current wig.
It gets wiggier every year. Yeah. That one on Liz's screen. It gets wiggier every year. The hairline gets thicker. The lace gets thicker. I don't understand it's very comic accurate, and I understand that, and I appreciate that. But they have such good wigs on other characters. I just don't understand why. That's all I'll say now.
I'm trying to figure out which
JJ
movie my
stole my
response is from.
answer.
I do agree with
what is
that
it?
too.
Mine was
that
going
one
to
is
be Haley Steinfeld's wig in general. All of them.
Oh, yeah.
Every single
one's
appearance.
rough.
Because
Yeah.
that one plagued our show for so
It
long.
really did. We
I've
spent
just
many
went through-
hours.
Thanos
Okay.
out of existence permanently.
Bunky agrees with me. Strange in
Yeah.
No Way Home, which is the same wig as Multiverse of Madness, which is just bad.
Mine is Black Widow in the first Avengers movie.
That's not a wig, Liz. That's her hair.
Yeah.
Well, I don't like it. They should have gave her a wig because I thought
It's
it was
bad luck.
horrible.
Liz has not watched every episode of the thing where I talk about hair in the MCU.
Or Liz has one brain cell left, absolutely fighting for its life.
It's not a wig until Age of Ultron.
Yeah, well, I didn't like the hair in
Winter
that
Soldier's
movie.
before Age of Ultron.
I thought it was bad. I really loved her hair in the Black Widow movie. I thought that was some of her best hair.
Yes, I agree
Yeah.
with that. That wig is incredible.
Yeah.
Do you have an
Alexis
answer,
hair was
Alexis?
beautiful.
No.
All of them. Every single one.
Yeah.
All of Marissa's choices.
I
you would
really
erase.
don't. Yeah, I can't keep it in that kind of thing in my hair, in my head long enough.
I think in your hair is also
I
a
wish
great way
I
you could
couldn't
frame
keep
that.
it in my head long enough. I wish I didn't have this brain.
I have
I
like
do.
fighting styles I don't want in the like that could leave the MCU, but not wigs.
That's
And well,
so
speaking of
interesting
fighting
that you
styles-
say that. I wonder what the next question is going to be.
Perfect segue, if you will. The quote is, "You have to be the one holding the knife." And our question is, what is your favorite MCU fight? But before we answer what our favorite MCU fight is, Alexis, what is the proper way to hold a throwing knife?
Well, okay, Liz, it depends on what style you are using and what knife that you have. What is interesting about throwing knives is traditionally most people try to learn to throw them with the blade in their hand, which is, not what everyone would think that you would go for. Now, more modern throwing has kind of like gotten away from that, but traditional like throwing knives weighted for throwing, you would throw with the blade in your hand, which is not something you see on television a lot. But we've moved away from that.
The more you know.
Yeah.
Alexis, do you have a favorite fight in the MCU?
I have some least favorite fights.
Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
But I feel like my favorite fight moments, are not real fight moments. I, like my husband, really enjoyed the gun pull, the gun block in Moon Knight. And
It was a good look.
Yeah, it was a very good look. And I really enjoy like Bucky Barnes like catching and stopping things in midair. I think those are some really great moments. One of my least favorite fights is the simultaneous fight that happened on the roof in Hawkeye. That is one of my least favorite fights we've ever seen. And some of the first fights we saw from Layla were real rough.
I think the most emotional I've ever been watching a fight in the MCU, like the one that had the strongest reaction out of me the first time I saw it, was in Black Panther with Killmonger and T'Challa. When Killmonger wins and T'Challa gets pushed over the cliff, and it's like that huge, like the music moves with it. That's probably my favorite, most reactive moment I've ever had to a fight. Also, because a lot of the time that like fight sequences are happening, I'm like,
Elizabeth.
What?
I keep pitching. You know how you always threaten to rebrand the show and we all get real scared?
Yeah.
I keep trying to pitch a rebrand of the show that's not a rebrand, but is just a spinoff where I get to watch fight scenes and yell about them and everyone just has to love me the whole time.
We can do that.
That's my
Absolutely.
I petitioned we start this with the alpha fight from Teen Wolf. Because I want your commentary on that fight so bad.
Babe, I'll just video it and send it to you. Like, that's easy.
I feel like we need to do like some kind of like for everyone's birthday month, you get to do a show that is your own unhinged dream show. Do you know what I mean? So Alexis gets an unhinged dream show And then, like, maybe it wouldn't have to do with birthdays, but perhaps like 4 times a year or something, everyone gets to pick a segment of their choosing that is to their very niche love and knowledge. Alexis could be that. Sly could make me watch 911 and 911 Lone Star in their order that they're recommending.
I would force you to watch 911 Universe in Machete order. I think you would love it. Please just watch the show with me.
Yeah, listen, I am going to have time on my hands actually quite soon. So that it will happen very soon. But to wrap up this question, what other favorite MCU fights do we want to call out?
So many fights that I enjoy.
Everybody's answers in the comments are so good.
The
elevator scene
the fight outside of Kowloon in Shang-Chi. My favorite fight, I know it's not the best fight from Black Widow, but the first Taskmaster one on the bridge was really fun for me. The Captain Marvel, when she's like first trying to figure out how to control her powers, one is like a big drama moment. But yeah, I don't know. I think more about how the fight impacts the story than the actual mechanics of the fight. So my answer is all the big moments that like stick in my brain.
I think I just decided on my answer. It's in is it in Bucharest? In Romania. In Bucky's apartment.
Budapest?
When Steve shows up. No,
Bucharest,
it's not Budapest.
very different places.
Hey, Marissa,
No, I just want to say people
Budapest.
get those two. I'm not saying you. I'm saying people get those two places confused on the internet all the time. They're very different places, people.
Marissa.
Yes, they are.
Marissa.
Yes, I said Civil War.
Can you remind me what movie that
I will
fight
punch
takes
through
place
the computer
in
and hit your
Marissa?
face.
What movie does that fight scene take place?
I said it's Civil War. I said it.
The worst part is that I know you like the movie, and I always act like you don't like them. I'm like, Marissa, what? And you're like, never has Marissa once said she does not like the movie.
Because all of my answers in Winter Soldier are chases. They're not really fights. Like
That's fair.
When the Winter Soldier turns around and catches the shield, like the first time Steve sees him, that is like my favorite moment in the movie. But I think fight-wise, it's when they meet up for the first time and they'd fall into this rhythm like immediately. Where they're like tossing the shield back and forth, and it makes me very happy.
I'm surprised no one, and I've been watching the comments, and I don't know if anyone's called it out in Captain America Winter Soldier with Steve and Bucky towards the very end.
On the Triskelion?
Yeah. That's a good fight.
What?
It is good.
Is that the arm fight?
Yes, the arm fight.
Arm fight.
Yeah. I think this is also an underrated answer. Killmonger versus Tony in What If. That was an interesting fight. However, I blacked it out from my mind because y'all know how I feel about What If.
Yeah, I tried to forget that one.
Oh, and then of
lots
course,
of good answers in the comments.
Ragnarok, all the fight sequence, all the good chase sequences in Ragnarok. Yeah. Especially with the it's my birthday, like that whole thing with the plane and it's one of my favorite Marvel sequences just ever. Which makes me so excited for Love and Thunder. I'm going to be insufferable when we learn more about Love and Thunder. It's going to be my moment. We are a Ragnarok household. I don't say that often, but we are a Ragnarok household. That's the movie we've watched.
Remind me to never tell you where I ranked Ragnarok on my MCU.
I think I know.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
We're going to have very vast opinions on that movie, and I'm very excited. But let's end our wheel game there. This was so fun. Keep your answers coming because I'm really enjoying reading what y'all think about your favorite fight scenes from the MCU are. Very quickly, let's sign off and give our under the radar. I have no under the radar to give because I would like to watch one thing this week. That would be my goals. I encourage everyone to just try and watch something this week, which shouldn't be hard because you watch this show, so you've already done it. Congratulations. I'm producer Liz everywhere on the internet. This week is going to be all about Harry's House for me. So if you're waiting for the new Harry Styles album to drop, I welcome you to the chaos that will be my TikTok and Instagram. Particularly my Instagram stories are going to be relatively unhinged while we await Harry's House, the formal arrival on Friday. Lots of fans received physical copies of the album today. They were shipped early. So the songs are already leaked. The lyrics are already leaking everywhere. I'll be waiting until Thursday to listen and live react with y'all. So I will see you there. And that's my week and that's my sign off. Marissa, would you like to go next?
Yes. I'm Marissa at Missabobissa everywhere on the internet. Tonight I will hopefully be live tweeting Selena Gomez on SNL.
You mean
so
yourself?
Excited for that.
How are you going to make that happen?
I gotta get on a plane, guys. Very excited for that. And I have two under the radar things super quickly. The first thing is there's a new Doctor Who. Ncuti Gatwa is going to be the 14th Doctor. I'm so excited for him. He's Eric Effiong on Sex Education. If you've seen that show, I'm very excited for this to usher in a new, generation of Whovians. If you want to know where to start with watching Doctor Who because you're excited to see Ncuti in the show, Theories by T made a great video of recommendations on where to start with the show. I agree with him. Start with season 5. You get Matt Smith, who's the 11th Doctor, who is in Morbius.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen that movie. Apparently he's the best part in it. I bet he is. He's also Prince Philip in the first 2 seasons of The Crown. And Karen Gillan is his companion, Amy Pond. She's Nebula in the MCU. And then also I want to talk about the Wanda Maximoff article from the Washington Post that featured some of our friends. I will post a link of it somewhere that you can read about why Wanda has such a queer following. And those are my under the radars. And you can hear me talking more about Wanda and Our Flag Means Death because I am still watching it. I do watch it every week.
The way that Sly calls himself a Jane Austen fan on the internet, you now are legally required every intro to call yourself an Our Flag Means Death fan because it has to just become a staple of your introduction and conclusion to the show.
I'm just waiting for the season 2 renewal announcement, and then I think I can calm down. But until that happens, I'm gonna be insufferable. And that's what I've got going on.
Sly?
My under the radar for this week is the Downton Abbey movie comes out this week, and I'm very excited. If you don't know that I'm a Jane Austen fan, I would hope you know I'm a Downton Abbey fan. I feel like those are the two main brands of me on the internet. I love Downton Abbey. I'm so excited. But yeah, I'm a little heartbroken that Marissa recommended to skip my favorite Doctor, who is 9, which I know is a hot
I can't.
but I love 9.
I can't. I thought it was going to be David Tennant. I was like, I would support starting season 2. Watch season 5 and then go back to season 1. But just
okay, that's fine. I could tolerate that.
That's what T recommended. That's what Terrell recommended. That's what I would.
I wouldn't know because somebody doesn't caption their videos. Sorry, we're getting late and I'm getting spicy.
I mean, valid. You literally cannot consume the content. That's not spicy. That's a fact.
Anyways, with that, I'm Sly. You can find me yelling about 911 and 911 Lone Star on TikTok Lives with JJ every Thursday night. You can find me yelling about video games on Point in Progress every Friday night. And you can find me talking about all the non-MCU Marvel movies on MC University, which you can also see our extra credits on Multiverse of Madness, which was a really fun episode. We dive into that fight and how it relates to our show, and it's a very fun conversation.
And Alexis.
Okay, I'm Alexis. My feed froze again, so I don't know what's happening. Am I supposed to be talking? All right, I'm Alexis at Alexis Blake Reads Comics, and I talk about cats and comics on the internet, and for my under the radar, I was going to talk about the documentary I watched, but no one wants me to talk about it. And eventually I'll get over that. So I will just recommend that everyone watches the documentary because it's really good. Just maybe don't watch it before you have to fly.
Can I watch it when I'm done my flights for the foreseeable future?
I'm sorry, I was frozen that whole time and I still can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? No? Okay, we will end it there then. We'll say, how about you say good night to TikTok first?
Good night, TikTok. Catch the replay and see everything that Liz was saying over on YouTube. It'll live there forever. Bye-bye.
Or until our community guidelines stops blocking our content from ad providers. We will see you all next Saturday, where I will be so hype on the new Harry Styles album. It will be almost unbearable, and I will hopefully have more energy than I do right now. I will stay. We will all be on TikTok and Instagram, so you can follow us there, and we will see you next time on We'll Throw the After Party. Bye. Bye, everybody.
Like and subscribe.